Welcome to Down South Football Podcast, man. We're here post game from the first playoff game, Bama versus Cincy. Yeah, I think it's more of a continuation of what we said at halftime. A little bit more, but we got Mr. Garden in the building, Mr. Chauncey Tuck in the building. So, fellas, I'll let y'all go first with y'all first thoughts. What was your thoughts about the second half of the game and the game in general?
For me, it's kind of more the same. When we came in pregame, I talked about the line of scrimmage. Came in halftime, talked about the line of scrimmage. Postgame, we're going to talk about the line of scrimmage. That's kind of where it was. Even though I will say this to Cincinnati's credit, I think that had they been able to get any type of offense going, I think they played good enough defense to stay in the game. Because it was more of a bend don't break type of style defense where they're going to give up some first downs, things like that. But as you saw, is when Bama, it was in passing situation, they was able to get some stops, and they did give up a couple big first downs too on third and long. And it was a 3rd and 15 that was pretty, at least 3rd and 15 that was pretty big time. I think Williamson caught the pass across the middle on the slant or something to that effect. But I mean, man, hey, hats off to Cincinnati. They played a great game. I think that offensively, Cincinnati I never saw them take a deep shot. I could have missed. Maybe they may have took one. If they did take it, I clearly missed it. I thought they could have tried to get some more one-on-one balls to the wide receiver, number 12.
Alex Pierce.
Yeah, I thought they should probably get some 50-50 balls up to him, but they didn't take that shot and really didn't really have a whole lot of time either. So hats off to Cincinnati. Great season, man. Bama did what I figured they would do. Dominate up front, stick to the game plan, just to get out of here and get to the next round. Kind of more the same for me.
Yeah. Tuck, what you got before I go? Go ahead, sir.
I mean, like I said, it's just Bama being, big bully Bama. Keep feeding the ball to B. Robinson, got things going, control the clock the whole game, control the especially second half. I mean, they just tried to go down the middle a little bit down, but the game was already in doubt. I mean, the game was already over with. It was no doubt. But stuff like what Aaron just said about changing your jersey number won't make you play better. Kobe didn't have a bad game.
Yeah, Kobe and Sauce were not the issue.
Sauce is not the issue. Kobe and Sauce, their teammates let them down. The slot
I'm
people.
Sorry, I have to say, I apologize, Tuck. I have to say it. Mr. Kobe Bryant was not the issue, and Sauce Gardner was not the issue. You have to put the Mr. before
because I want to see the head-to-head stats against when Kobe was on him and when Sauce was on him. I don't think that Williams did too well. I mean, he had 8 at halftime. I think he had 8 targets for 30-something yards or something like that. So, like I said, it just but I digress on that part. But other than that, Bama just being Bama. Bryce, you move Bryce off the pedestal. He threw a pick. He had no business throwing that ball. Then you had another couple issues with, looking across the middle. He thought somebody was open. Nobody was open. But Robinson, I don't know if he's running the ball a lot more. But he was sucking air in the first and then second half. They didn't put an oxygen tank on him that second half. They had to put a tank on him.
Well, every time you run, there's holes. I guess I'd be tired too.
Yeah, I mean, because he was he was toting that thing. But I mean, like I said, it's not a like Cincinnati. I think heads off to Cincinnati, man. I mean, they came in. They had a good game plan at the beginning. They just, like I said, execution did not help them out, and you could tell they were getting frustrated. Offensive coordinator. Look, the offensive coordinator, man. For Cincinnati is not. If the rumors are true that he's going to LSU, then LSU, I'm sorry, y'all gonna be in trouble. But
I ain't gonna say it. I'm not gonna say that because I mean that's you wrong for saying we ain't gonna go there by his future right now. Let's stay with the present. Let's stay with the present.
Not negative, Aaron. Not negative.
What we're talking about was. And Dave said this, and keeping it real simple, and we talked about it before, and we always talk about it on this show. We always talk about it. We always talk about the line of scrimmage. And how many times they went to the left. I mean, they went like 80% of the time they went to the left on this on this whole thing. And he was beasting. Robinson was doing his thing, but it was just an overall. It was a mismatch. It was a mismatch up front. There were some times they got through, but in the end, man, it's just like anything else. Your basic fundamentals of football is this: if I can be fundamental and run the ball, everything else opens up. Because now I got you on your heels. That first drive, man, was a lot like basic stuff that you learn in early training camp. It wasn't nothing complicated. A lot of out routes. It was like a lot of basic run plays. It wasn't anything that they did that was just like out of it, which makes you prove right there, athlete per athlete, they were not ready. But also Alabama stayed in the middle. They stayed, and then even when they went deep, they didn't go deep against Kobe Bryant. They didn't go against Sauce Gardner. O'Brien schemed it up to go against the other DBs on the field, man. You got to give credit where credit is due to Alabama. It's almost like if I know I got better. They stayed away from the stuff that could be trouble. They stayed away from the outside. Okay, we got the advantage up the middle. We got the advantage at the line of scrimmage. That's what we're going to dominate at. But it doesn't take away from Cincinnati. If somebody would please look up Alabama semifinal matchups and tell me when it has been close with Alabama in the semifinals.
Either way.
That's what I'm saying. So
it's
like
Alabama been on the not so close side.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, if that's the case, then this should be just par for the course. Everybody wants to make a big deal out of it because it's Cincy and it's a non-Power 5. It's a Group of 5 school. That's dumb.
If it didn't prove but one thing, you know what it proved to me?
What's that, Gordon?
Was that why not have Power 5? I mean, Group of 5s in there. They ain't do no different than what the hell Notre Dame had done.
No team, any team they would have put at number 4, Bama would have did the same thing to them.
Well, honestly, if you got a 4, I mean, if 4 is your lowest seed and 1 being your highest, this is kind of what you expect.
I mean, because the thing is, granted, the seeding wise, Alabama's supposed to win the whole thing because they're the number 1 team.
Why they number 1. Right.
That's why they're number 1. So if Michigan or Georgia do end up beating Alabama, then they defeated whatever the committee had. Because it's all about the committee, the number one seed. So, like Renard said, it makes 0 points if you try to tell us that if Notre Dame or I don't even know who was number 6.
They beat Notre Dame.
They beat Notre Dame head to head in South Bend. Sorry, Justin, didn't mean to say that. But it wouldn't have mattered. This year, it wouldn't have mattered who was 4 through 12. Bama would have did the exact same thing to every single team.
And they would have done it in a totally different way. The difference what people don't want to get into is the fact that Alabama this year, even though a lot of people are like, well, they didn't do this game was close. Well, guess what, fool? There are other coaches and players on the other side too. Okay. And going through that type of schedule is not the easiest thing in the world. We're just used to them always dominating. But you got to give other people credit for actually showing up and making it. And sometimes they're going to make mistakes. The other team is going to make mistakes. It's just going to happen when it comes to that. But this whole thing, well, don't ever let the Power 5 back in. Don't ever let the Group 5 back in. So that means we should eliminate conferences?
Because let the record tell it. SEC's trash this year. But
that's what I'm saying.
But then you had Texas A&M that beat Bama. Then you had Auburn that was kind of close to beating Bama.
Yeah, Florida who were close.
Florida was close. So are you going to say from top to bottom the SEC was trash? No, I mean we're getting to the point now that these bowl games. I don't care. These bowl games don't matter to these teams no more because people are opting out. So that's why you got to expand the playoffs.
But to David's point, when we're sitting here talking about this right now, we're talking about the playoff, okay? We're talking about the playoff. We're talking about this 4. We're talking about 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we also forgetting about teams getting better week to week. You had the chance to cut the head off the snake. Florida, you did. LSU, like Arian said, LSU, Arkansas was close. They did. Auburn, you were close. You had your chance. So guess what? When you do to a team like Alabama that's overly and superly talented, that says, okay, yeah, we ain't played our best ball, but we here.
Yeah,
we here. So we survived. We're here now. So guess what I can do?
Bama, and what's scary is Bama didn't play their best, quote unquote, their best game until Georgia. That's what their best game was, quote unquote. You couldn't stop them running, you couldn't stop them passing. Their defense was out, played lights out. But anybody, I mean, Stetson Bennett was their best, gave them the best chance to win. They still didn't, and they still couldn't win.
But let's get back to that
point.
What
are we at this point right now?
Mm-hmm.
And when we watch Michigan and Georgia play tonight, if we watch Michigan and Georgia play tonight, is Georgia going to show us something totally different that we have not seen the whole year that make us think that they can beat Bama?
I'm not going there right now because I have a totally different viewpoint, but that's me. But back to the playoff discussion. Back to the whole playoff discussion. It's like, what are you going to do that's different in the playoff? That everybody's like, oh no, we're not going to get this. We're not going to get this. We're not going to get that. Okay, then SEC, do your damn part. All these other conferences, do your damn part. Y'all want to talk down on a group of 5, but hell, y'all didn't beat them either. And then Texas A&M, you crap the bed. You let your opportunity go. So like this whole thing about the group of 5, man, we got to stop it.
Man, we got to stop it. I cannot understand where you have you already split FBS and FCS. Mm-hmm. How you split within a split? You gonna say?
Well, that's the thing about microorganisms and atoms. They split with them.
I got another word for it, another phrase for it. I won't go there right now on this show. I won't go there right now. I haven't been driven to that point, but I have another philosophy that this very
man.
But don't do it like that, Dave. Don't hear
BS. But we're not. I mean, I agree. But the only thing that's going to solve this is the expansion, and that might not even solve it then, because we're still talking about, okay, if we do expand this thing to 12 teams, okay, expand to 12 teams, 1 through 12. I mean, one versus 12. It's not gonna beat Alabama. So let's say everybody holds the 6 team ain't gonna beat Alabama. I mean, what are we gonna get at? It'd be expanded to 16.
Well, here's where I'm at with it, Tuck. Okay, if 12 don't beat Bama and 6 don't beat Bama, okay, what if 2 don't beat Bama? So here's the thing: it's not about beating Bama; it's about what happens in the other matchup. You know what I'm saying? That before you get to that championship. So you want to, right, that Auburn Houston type of matchup where, I mean, I'm just using that for an example because that was the most recent bowl game. But those matchup, the group of 5 versus the Power 5 matchup that you'll get in an expanded playoff series. And you never know. I mean, when you're playing more than 1 to 2 to 3 games, 1 to 2 games, I mean, you allow Bryce Young could come out here and have a game, he throw 4 picks. That happens. You know what I mean? So, and that's just a part of the game. So that's why I'm a proponent of more teams, because you don't have people like me that have not watched but 2 bowl games out of this whole thing that's going on, because I really don't care.
I've only watched 1, and I went to that one. So
let's keep it a buck. I tried, Lord. I tried.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's do it.
I tried. We don't want to talk about the real problem. Okay, the real number one problem is we sit here and be the only division of football who say, oh, they undefeated, they great. But we want to hold that against Cincinnati by following those rules, but everybody else do it. You go every other level of football, we have some type of real playoff. Get in, you got your chance. But when it comes to us good old Power 5 boys over here on the right, we don't want to let nobody else in. We don't want to say, well, you can lose a football game, or you can't lose a football game, or you can't get better during the year. I lost a game on week 2, but guess what? By week 12, I might be the best team in the country because you only have 4. So it's basically like, let me just do enough to not get hit. You ducking and dodging enough, kind of like a Floyd Mayweather boxing match. You just ducking and dodging. Now I'm here because I'm 12-0. That don't mean that you was the best team at that time. But you can't get mad at Cincinnati for the way the system is set up. The system first said you got to be ranked in the preseason, which they are, which they were. They were ranked high in the preseason. Well, you got to play some Power 5 opponents, which they did, and which they won by their rules. Well, you got to go undefeated because you don't have no reason to lose to anybody else, which they did. So guess what? They earned a spot here. They earned a spot where we are.
Right.
So it's like it's always been about like Aaron said, it's always been about not losing and not necessarily saying what's the best team is. If your team wins, that's great. But today you got to give props to Alabama. I give props to Cincinnati for fighting, but at the same time, you could tell after a while they were mismatched. It was a mismatch. But it's been mismatched in most Alabama semifinal games. This is nothing
like right.
Yeah, because Washington, Michigan State, all them teams.
I mean, I was just looking at it was somebody in Oklahoma. Was it Clemson? Oklahoma? I mean, you can just kind of go back and you will see.
I mean,
that you kind of get the same. I think it was the Washington and what was it? Washington and somebody. I can't remember.
Washington played Alabama their first round a couple years ago.
I mean,
and Bama trounced them.
Right, and so that's kind of
Michigan State. They trounced them. This is Pac-12 and Big Ten. So what difference would it have made? And again, we go back. It wouldn't have made no bigger difference.
And what confuses me is that a lot of the guys that have this type of thought process, they're some of the main ones that love March Madness. March Madness is built upon the fact of having an underdog or giving a team a shot that wouldn't get a shot. You know, what if you have March Madness? You don't have nobody in there but Ohio State, Duke, North Carolina, and Kentucky. What if that's your March Madness?
Let's call it January Jubilee. Give it something. I mean, you want to give a name to it,
right?
At the bottom, at the end of the day.
But nobody says nothing about those teams that y'all named losing. We didn't say, keep them out. We didn't say any of those things. We didn't say anything about those other teams losing. Like, man, Bama just killed them, and then we moved on. Yep. But at some point, with the expansion of college, folks, college football is changing. What we've been telling y'all for 2 years. That doesn't mean that you're going to overtake Bama. But Bama should be in this position of where they are based off of everything that's surrounding them. 15 years of consistency. 15 years of the same coach. 15 years of almost finishing number 1 and 2 in your recruiting, and you just keep building and building and building and building and building. That is a dynasty over there. We're not talking about some regular team. We got to stop saying like, Cincinnati couldn't compete. They couldn't do that. Well, no, they could not on a whole game, but the final score wasn't just terrible.
Not the whole game. Guys, exactly. And that's what, but see, Aaron said you're mad at Luke Fickell. What could he have done? I mean, what more preparation did he need? They had a good game plan for the first. Come out of the second half. It worked. They just couldn't get in the end zone. Back to Renard's point, 15 years of one or two recruiting classes, consistency in head coaching, consistency
in organization.
It ain't gonna matter.
Consistency in organization,
right? And then somebody else commented talking about that they got teams that are SEC that they're better teams in the SEC than the AAC. I mean, that's true, but
it could be.
You never know.
Whoa! I want whoever said that. I want you to realize that it really is Alabama and everybody else. Shit, they smacking the hell out of everybody, but who takes it in them? So, I mean, if you ain't beating Bama, I don't think fucking counts anyway. I'm sorry, I digress. Go ahead, Tuck. Y'all about to get me hot on the show tonight.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. We can't look at just helmets and conferences no more, guys. I mean,
It's just not
until Bama has a down. Yeah, until we can start a downward spiral of Alabama being recruiting class number 8 and number 7, then we might see something happen.
Well, that's before this, but before we go there,
Don't get, but Aaron, when you just talk, didn't have time. He didn't have time to get the ball to the tight end. The tight end was streaking on that last drive before they scored the last play. Tight end on the fourth down play. Guess who was open? The tight end. But guess what? They called the blitz, and he couldn't get the ball to him.
Well, let's do this though.
You got playmakers all over that defense.
Let's do this. Let's do this. Okay, so in the end, we all saw it. Bryce didn't have a great game. He was 17 of 28. But Brian Robinson had the 204. Is everything that we talked about earlier. Let's talk about Georgia and Michigan, since Michigan is about to come out the tunnel. We can get on the other role about that stuff later on. But keeping it a buck today, we got Georgia versus Michigan. We got two really good teams, two kind of identical teams, especially quarterback play, especially talking about what?
Don't do my boy like that, Michigan.
I said similar. Similar. So you really gonna do that right now? You putting McNamara in a whole other category?
I would definitely pick McNamara over Stetson Bennett. His name is Stetson.
I didn't say anything about picking. I said similar category. That's what I said.
Words
that doesn't mean one's not better than the other.
Words do mean things. Okay.
They do mean things. Anyway, similar style, similar whatever. Okay, when it comes down to it, since you pushing that point, but where would you give the advantage between Georgia and Michigan? Who you think? What side got the advantage and where?
Tuck, you can go ahead.
Offensively, I think it's going to be a push on offensive and defensive line. But if we're going back just a couple of weeks ago, I'll give the offensive line a push against Georgia right now because they have the book to beat Georgia against. Running backs, I think it's a push. Quarterbacks, I think they have an advantage, of course. Quarterback. Receivers, I think Georgia have better receivers than Michigan does. Defensive line, like I say, I think it's a better defensive line for Georgia. Linebackers, if you take away, but you can't take them away, of course. If you take away, what's his name? Depends if you want to put him down on the line or you want to put him at linebacker. What's his name? All World. What's his name?
For who?
I can't remember. Number 18. Brain fart. Just had it. Can't remember. The good linebacker for Georgia. What's his name?
Come on,
18. Dean. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Dean is 17.
I get that. 17. Thank you. I get that edge to Georgia just because of Dean. Secondary, give me Michigan all day. All day. I take Michigan all day. So special teams, I give it to Michigan. So I mean, it's a push.
Can somebody give me an update on Hill, the cornerback from Michigan? I haven't seen him. I didn't see if he was going to make it or not.
Hill, H-E-E-L?
H-I-L-L, the guy,
Hill,
the one that was he's supposed to be possibly covering Brock Bowers tonight. He was the one that I think he was either in COVID protocol. It was something that was holding him. He was supposed to fly to Miami last night, or something to that nature. But it's just going to be interesting to see this matchup in general. Dave, what's your thoughts about it?
Let's go Big Blue.
I figured you was on that train.
I mean, I have, first of all, the only thing I have faith in the state of Georgia is strip clubs and the Atlanta Braves. That's it.
You pushing it with words.
That's the only two things I have faith in.
Thank you, Sean.
That's it.
What did he say? Is he out?
Sean said game time decision.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I mean, I can't do this with Georgia, man. I'm looking at them at the coin toss now, boy. They got big.
He's there. He's playing.
Man,
they got all gaps, Mr. All Gaps.
Yeah,
Jordan,
man.
Mr. Davis. That's Mr. All Gaps. So y'all ain't been watching the show. We call Jordan Davis Mr. All Gaps.
These jokes look like Greek goddess, man. I can't deal with them. I'm not. No. There ain't nobody for the block 97 in the doggone blue and gold.
They ain't blocking
They're playing.
On the side either.
No,
he's
him
playing.
either.
He's dressed out. He warmed up and everything, so he's
So
playing.
my input on my outlook on it, man. I think that like I'm with Tuck. I think that offensively they mirror each other. I think I tip my hat to Michigan on the run game. I tip my hat to Michigan on the quarterback side. You all know that everybody that's followed the show know what I feel about Stetson Bennett.
Tip your hat to the fact that we know we pointed out that Michigan has the most explosive plays in the country.
There you go.
Yep.
17 plays for more than 50 plus yards.
Yep.
50 plus yards, yeah.
So, man, and again, if Georgia wins, so what? They gonna piss down their leg in the next game anyway. So
Coach 30, holla at your boy.
Holla at your boy, Coach 30. We need you on the show.
We need you on the show, Coach 30.
We do need to get Coach 30 on the show. But I mean, before we go move forward, so what y'all feeling in the comments, man? How y'all feeling? I see somebody chimed in and said, Georgia Bama rematch. How are y'all feeling? Arian said 21-17 will be the score. You pick a winner.
That's how I feel. I mean, that's kind of close to how I feel though. You can flip a coin. Like with the app we use to flip a coin. Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing.
I want to answer this question, but go ahead, Tuck. I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's all I'm gonna say. I don't know.
How many 4-5 ever gone to Cincy in the past 5 years? Let's tell the story. I wouldn't say even go. Okay, let me NIS 214. Let's talk about the first part. That makes it even more impressive that they was in the playoff today, regardless of the fact they came from the AAC or not. Also, Cincy is not ever going to be a place where it's going to be where you're going to see 4 or 5 star recruits go there all the time, which makes their development even more and even better. 2 years did change their program a lot, but it's 2 totally different situations. You know what I'm saying? It's not the same situation. Fickle's only been there what? This is just his second year, right? Or third, fourth year.
Yeah.
I mean, but at the same time, for them to even get to this point, it is such a great accomplishment. And I'm not going to let what they ran into today let people just downplay it and just say it's over. That's a disservice to the kids, man. That's a really big disservice to those kids because those kids play hard. Sauce Gardner is still a first-round draft pick. He did nothing today to
Kobe
to say that, those 2 corners did nothing today to say they're not going to be there. Nothing. They just Alabama and Bill O'Brien, because I ain't heard nobody say about Bill O'Brien in a minute.
I ain't heard nobody say nothing about the defensive coordinator either.
Wow, that's what I'm saying. Give it time. So, what's your thing?
I think I agree 100% with you. Since a place like a Cincinnati, I mean, it's a ton of colleges. I mean, heck, Cincinnati, Louisville, Kentucky. Then those schools are not going to have like your mass amount of 4 and 5 star recruits. But here's the thing that here's a something that jumped out on me, and I know this is an old article, but I think that.
But to your point, Kentucky been dropping folks into the NFL past couple years too.
That's where I'm finna go with this because I found an article that says 5-star recruits by round drafted. This is from 2002 to 2008. I get it. We're in 2021, so these numbers have changed, but I think the point is still the same, and I don't think that these numbers have probably drifted that far off. But
about the game that started
in round 1 in between 2002 and 2008, you had 17% of that draft, a total of 35. What's this total 35, whatever. So 17% of the draft picks in the first round in those years were 5 stars.
Right.
Undrafted in that same time frame, undrafted 47%. Okay. 17% first round, 47% undrafted.
And it's also not just about getting stars, it's about getting the elite of the elite of the elite.
There you go. So just because you got the stars, and the stars are for the fans, they're for the kids, they're for the parents. Oh, my baby's a 4-star, 5-star, but is your baby really a baller? That's what it all comes down to be. I mean, I don't know what Sauce Gardner was. I don't know what Kobe is, but I do know this. When I see them I'm going to see them get drafted one day. So I get it. You're right. Your point is, yes, those, and I think Saban did a lot of JUCO things there during those times to build that.
His first year, he went JUCO heavy.
Right, and that's what you got to do. I mean, I listen to Prime Time. I listen to Coach Deion Sanders say his recruiting thing right now is he has a 40-40-20 split. 40 transfer portal, 40% grad transfers, and 20% freshmen.
Yep.
So it ain't about the stars. The stars look good. Yeah, we like to pull up on ESPN and say, yeah, my team had this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, how many of those stars don't pan out? I know it's a lot of 4-star guys in the transfer portal. That's all I gotta say. And some of them have went to. I know 3 to 4 stars that went to transfer portal. They have come from Alabama. So, not knocking what the comment was. I think
we're not knocking the comment, but the comment when we say 4-5 stars, and I see you said but the conversation was about college football, not NFL draft, but those two are relevant to each other because really 4-5 the 4-5 stars are based off of what your projection is going to be. That's basically what as I know with Rivals and a couple of them, it's based off what your projection is going to be. So that's why it's a relevant conversation that the NFL, everybody else will find you anywhere. But the game that started, fellas, we'll be back. We'll be back at halftime.
Georgia driving.
Brock
driving. They got the keys. They got the key to the car.
Brock Bowers just made a catch, man. And we'll holler at y'all at halftime, man. We'll be back and we'll continue everything. Peace.
They ain't changed the transmission fluid.